so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it. When I first learned about the Mind Lab and came across Dr. Psyche's work, I was just so fascinated by all the incredible research that's going on and happening there, and I knew I wanted to learn more about it. And I'm just so excited to get to talk to someone who's working so closely with all of that lab work. And so, yeah, I'd love to start by hearing a little bit about you. So, what did your path kind of look like from high school to where you are now at Northeastern?
Yes, that's a good question. I've been meeting with a lot of high school students recently who are interested in joining the lab to volunteer, and it blows
Yeah.
my mind because I did not even consider the realm of research as something I would ever be interested in until much later into college. So I was really passionate about playing music, much like you. So I write songs, I sing, I play guitar.
Wow.
I was like in my school bands, I did musical
Wow.
theater,
Oh
I
my
did it all.
gosh. Wow.
And being creative was just like such an important part of my life. And so I really wanted to continue that, but I also wanted to do something different than that. I wanted to try and help people or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. And so I was really interested in like psychology and therapy, and I could see myself kind of going down that lane. But I knew that I needed music to like be a part of that kind of grand scheme for me. And so I was very lucky in my senior year of high school, just in some random searching, had found the field of music therapy. And it kind of was like a light bulb like went off above my head of like, oh, like that, yeah, that, like that's the thing I've been looking for, where it's this
Yeah.
intersection of everything I personally love to do and things that I think I'm really strong at, and
Mhm.
also a really important thing that I think I've directly felt the impact of. So without even knowing that music therapy was kind of an administered type of therapeutic treatment, personally, I turned to music as like a huge resource for myself.
Oh
So
yeah,
in
definitely.
middle and high school especially, I mean, like even before I started playing music, when I was just listening to music, I mean, it
Right.
was like my outlet. I mean, that's
Yes.
the case
Yeah.
for so many adolescents. It's how we learn about ourselves, and I feel like
Mhm.
it's how we like figure out who we are as we're determining our identities. And at a time where I just felt like so lost and confused, it was always like a touchstone for me to come back to. So yeah, I got very lucky. It was like
Yeah.
music therapy had like fallen out of the clouds and into my lap. And that was really then my basis of what I was gonna do in college was like, okay, I guess I gotta figure out a way to intersect these two things now that I know that they can actually be intersected, that like music and
Yeah.
psychology can actually be brought together in one field. And so that was actually what brought me to Northeastern, was
Wow.
really wanting an education that wasn't just focused on music. It wasn't just focused on
Mm.
psych. It wasn't a conservatory. That's not my background. Like I'm self-taught in a lot of the things that
Mm.
I do. So like I definitely would not fly at the
Most of the
conservatory.
most popular singers are self-taught even today.
Right,
So,
exactly.
so
And like I tried lessons and they're very helpful, but I'm not good like that.
I think music is just so personal. Like it's
Right.
just I think the way like it impacts you is just like so personal. Like it could just be like you sitting in your room playing your
Totally.
guitar and like strumming and singing along.
Right.
That could be way more like impactful than like going to a lesson and getting and like it's different for each
Absolutely.
person.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that's so beautiful because I know so many of my friends who actually
Yeah.
like play guitar and play
Mhm.
piano and they don't really go to a vocal or an
Right.
instrument teacher. Do you think there was like a point in your life where you were ever like pulled to like music or like science or like just like the psychology of it and you
Yeah.
didn't know whether like those could ever be like kind of combined?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think like while I was figuring out even what I was going to study in school, I was like, okay, I want to find this intersection, but
Hmm.
I didn't take AP Psych classes in school. Like they didn't have them offered at my school. I didn't have any
Mm.
psychology experience until I came to college and took foundations of psych. Like I came
Wow.
in not only to university, but even into the lab as a junior in college with zero, and I mean zero research experience under my belt. Like I had taken like my stats class and I knew
Yeah,
how to use
yeah,
SPSS, and like I knew
yeah.
some of the brain structures from my courses, but like I had never even thought about diving into science as something that I would want to do. And so I think for a long time, I just didn't really know how to fit that in. Like I was so drawn to music and I knew that I was really interested in applying it in like a therapeutic
Mm,
manner and in learning more about the human brain and in trying to help people. But I definitely struggled for a long time of like, how can I make this make sense for me? Especially as
right.
a as a music therapist, you have to be certified to really do anything. So
Mm,
little old me, I don't even have a college degree yet. What can I actually do that makes me feel like I'm progressing the field, that I'm doing something that's meaningful for me? And for me, it was really a lot of like volunteer organizations and clubs on campus. So going
mm.
out and actually playing music in like nursing homes and living facilities. And
Yeah.
then from there, finding the lab and really realizing like how much of a direct impact in the immediate community we can have. And I think once I thought about it in that way, it made it that much more meaningful for me.
Wow, that's so cool because like I've been singing my entire life and like I never
Yeah,
really like thought about music as more than just a hobby until a couple
right.
years ago. When I saw like wow, like this can actually like help people.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a summer to India. I went there
Mhm.
and my grandmother forced me to perform at a school for autistic children.
Cute.
And I was fighting like real jet lag during that week, and so it was a pretty difficult time. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll just do it for the kids, for the kids. And so I went there with one of my friends, and she's also in the same grade as me, and she also has been singing Indian Carnatic music. And
Nice.
so we kind of like bonded over that. Didn't really get to know each other besides that one trip. And
Ah,
so we went there and performed for the kids and it was just so beautiful. Like they started like humming along and singing along and some of them started dancing and I was like, wow, like
ah.
this is what life is about.
Literally though, like, and it is, and it's the same with like older adults too.
Yes,
We would
yes.
have a group of people that, some of them are more engaged than others. There are people who'd be like shut down. Like
Literally, yes.
they are actively like they look upset that you're there. And I'm
Mm.
like, I don't even blame you for
I
being
didn't do
upset that
anything
I'm
to
here. Like
you.
literally, but like I don't even, yeah, I'd probably be pissed if I were you as
No,
well.
yeah,
But
yeah,
by
yeah.
the end of the, afternoon, even just 45 minutes of music playing, they would be tapping their toes or they'd be smiling
Oh,
or
yeah.
saying bye to us and hi to us at the next session. Like it's so weird how like such
Mhm.
a small interaction like can make you feel good, but can actually like have such a direct impact that you watch people change in real time. Like it's
Right.
so cool.
No, literally, yeah. And then from that moment, we began our nonprofit
Ah,
organization,
that's
Medaleys.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we're dedicated to spreading awareness about music and its therapeutic
Yay.
benefits. So, past couple of years, we've been performing at assisted living facilities,
Nice.
preschools to kind of like foster like an early
Nice.
age kind of exposure. And it's just been so great. I love it so much. Like
So
especially
awesome.
like the preschool. Like we've been performing at like dementia homes, like for patients
Sweet.
with dementia. And so like obviously like it does affect like memory, like regions in the
Yeah.
brain. And so it's just been so great. Tell me about the Mind Lab. What are you and your team working on right now?
Ugh, what are we not working on is more like the question. Sorry, I'm like totally stalking this organization I mentioned to you before,
Oh,
but
oh
you
my
guys are
gosh.
awesome. I'm totally gonna look into this later.
Yes, please do.
That's beautiful. Because I was like on all your things to include, I was like, oh, let me look at some of the stuff. And I was like,
Aw.
pretty legit. So I'm like, you are
Yeah,
very
we
motivated.
try.
I gotta give you that. Very impressive too. And when I said like I never even thought about science until college. Like I'm not even like I
Aw.
really it took me a long time to enter that. So I tip my hat to you for real
Aw,
that you've
thank
been
you
so
so much.
motivated. Yeah, seriously, it's not easy. So I mean, high school alone is like so difficult
Oh
that
my
like
gosh. That's for
adding
another
on.
day. That's
Yeah,
for another
right.
day.
That's for another call. But
Yeah.
yes, but the Mind Lab. Oh, love the Mind Lab.
Aw.
Uh what are we doing in the Mind Lab? So I've been in the lab for 3 years now. I started as a junior in college. Through Northeastern, they have a co-op program, which is kind of what the university is known for often. It's basically like a 6 month internship where you go out and you work somewhere and you can do one, you could do up to three of them over the course of your 4 years. And basically you just get real life work experience. So for
Oh.
me, very cool, very unique. And most of these you get paid too, which is like, it's not
Oh.
like a paid
Okay.
internship. Like it's a thing. It's a real
Yeah.
job that then you can put on your resume. You say, I worked this job for 6 months.
Mm.
And so for me, I started college in COVID 2020. And so as a music and psych major, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I can't
Yeah.
even do anything. Like, y'all won't let me go anywhere or do anything. So I'm just gonna kind of play it by ear. And so my first 2 years on campus were really just that. And then my third year, I ended up doing actually my co-op at the Mind Lab. So my
Mm.
first foray into research was 3 years ago as a junior in college, having again,
Wow.
literally, I cannot emphasize enough, zero experience. I had taken some classes with Dr. Louie, and it just really spoke to me, everything that we were learning about and everything that I was passionate about with music and specifically music therapy and really learning
Yeah.
about how important this was. And,
Hmm.
she would be presenting on work in the class and you would see her name at the bottom of the little slide and I'd be like, that's you.
That's
You did that. Like you found out that research. So that was really what drew me to the lab was not only like thinking about the ways that they approach the question, but
Mm.
also just how many questions the Mind Lab is willing to approach. I think
Wow.
like Dr. Louis does not have a closed mind when it comes to research, and especially in a world like music cognition research, where it's interdisciplinary at its fundamental basis.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to explore it, and I think that
Hmm.
that's a really fun part about the lab is that we're always open to new ideas, new explorations, new questions. And in my 3 years, that's definitely what I have experienced. So, first starting off, I've worked on a lot of creativity projects, trying to learn a little bit more on what we deem as creative, not
Hmm.
only in the music itself, so determining different elements that make a specific clip creative, but
Hmm.
also trying to find some neural underpinnings of creativity, looking at EEG markers of creativity and seeing if there's anything there. So that was a big part of what I first came in with. That was building off of a lot of previous work that they'd been doing on improvisation and a lot of those studies. The problem is with creativity studies, it's either you have really highly trained individuals who, go into MRI machines and
Right.
improvise on pianos in the MRI machine,
Oh, wow.
or you have like Joe Schmo who says, this song sounds good. But there's not really a good way of measuring kind of this like musical creativity in Joe Schmo. Like, even though I can't read music, I might still be really engaged in music and I might
Right.
still play music and XYZ, but I'm not like an expert. So really trying to kind of address that gap in the field of like trying to study
Mm.
creativity, but doing so in a way that is actually approachable to different audiences. Another project that I work very closely on, it's been something I've worked on the whole time that I've been here. It is a behemoth of a project. It is our Gamma MBI project, and MBI stands for music-based intervention,
Wow.
where basically it is an audiovisual stimulation intervention targeted for older adults, so anyone 50 and up, who are experiencing some form of memory decline. And so the memory decline spectrum is a spectrum. It goes from kind of healthy aging to what we would consider the, more intense levels of impairments such as dementia, or then, of course,
Mm.
Alzheimer's, which is a subset of dementia. And so we're really trying to see in this kind of mild cognitive impairment range where we've left healthy aging and we're not quite impaired to the point of having a diagnosis from a doctor, but we're kind of experiencing unusual memory lapses. And these are things
Got
that
it.
are often really hard to even kind of conceptualize because what is
Yeah.
healthy aging versus not healthy aging? So that's even a part of what I do is just
Wow.
finding what participants we want to
S-
recruit. And they
Mm.
basically go home, they do this intervention for 8 weeks. We run a host of tests on them, physiological, neurological, cognitive. We do MRI, EEG, blood draws, we do gait
Wow.
tests,
Oh
we
my
do it
gosh.
all. And we really just see if there's any differences in their memory, in their cognition, in their well-being over the course of this 8 weeks of music listening and light stimulation. So that is definitely very directly tied to what I'm interested in, which is like the
Wow.
clinical applications of what we're studying.
Yeah, that's super
Um,
interesting. So do you
yeah,
guys actually like go to like the facilities or is it more of like a distant kind of thing?
it's a little bit of both. So when we have them coming in for research, primarily they're coming to our lab location. The nice
Oh,
thing about
okay.
Northeastern is because it is it's not D1, it's like an R1. I always want to call it like a D1 research institution, which that's not what it is, R1. But if we were a sports team, it would be
Right, it would be
D1.
doing okay.
We have like resources, to say the least. We have like an MRI machine in the basement
Right.
of our building. Like it's a
Oh,
huge deal. We are able to run a lot of data, which is fantastic. So we often will have as many people coming in as possible. But a lot of our outreach and recruitment is done either remotely, like through online sources, or actually something that I have brought back in the lab is actually doing outreach performances, where we will go into local living facilities, community centers, and basically play some songs. We'll show
oh,
them the light device. We'll tell them about the research. And,
yes.
they're not the best for recruitment numbers
Yeah.
necessarily, but I do think it is a fantastic way to engage with the community. And I think, especially in some of these areas of the city where people may not feel represented, they may not feel like they're seen under the big guise of a university. I think it's nice to let people know, like letting our average folks know that like you too can be in
Be a
research and
part
it
of
doesn't
this.
have to be this really huge scary thing. Even though there's all this history behind psychological research, we're approaching it in a way that like we want to help you and like we want to
Mm,
help the greater community.
that's
And so I think,
beautiful, yeah.
yeah, I think when people kind of understand that and are able to see themselves as a part of the bigger picture, I think
Mm.
that is really beautiful. And I think that's something that I really enjoy doing. Obviously, as you can tell, like the
Yeah.
therapist
No,
in
I
me
can
is like,
definitely
I want
tell.
to help. Like, I want to help people. But it is really, you do notice that, people who never thought they would be doing research are in a lab for a whole day of testing. They're
Oh
working with their
yeah.
MRI technician. They're, talking about research like it's no big deal, and then they're able to do other studies and whatnot.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
really trying to like lower the barrier for folks to know that like research is supposed to be for the public. Like
That's
it's
amazing. I mean, it is like at the end of the day, like no
it
matter how
is.
like how behind the scenes it is, like it is for the
Right.
people. So we
Exactly.
actually like conducted like and I would say an informal study.
Okay.
We just took like a couple like printouts of like, oh, like
Yeah.
how did you feel like out of five? Like how
Yeah.
did you feel? How happy did you feel before the performance and
Yeah.
after the performance? And some of the people we're still kind of like trying to develop like how we want to like put this across to them because what we
Right.
realized from our first time doing this is that not many people are able to actually like write. Like their mobility is very low, and
Right.
some of their children were there, and so they tried to help out with it. But we did get a little bit of insight as to like why we're doing or what we're doing is actually like
Yeah.
working for the
Yeah.
people. And
Yeah.
yeah, like in terms of like that kind of research, like yeah, like some of them were kind of happy. They were like, "Oh wow, like we get to be a part of this. Like why us?" I was like, "Girl, like you're running the show. You are running the show." And yeah, I think it's just beautiful to see like yeah, like research is for the people and like I think what you guys are doing is like really amazing. So
I agree. I'm a little biased, and it's so funny. Like, I interview all of our RAs in the lab. And so, like, I'm the lab manager here now. So I
yeah, no, I
started off
know,
as a
yeah.
co-op. I mean, obviously, yes, I think we covered that. But actually, starting off as a co-op, like, I was a student. And then I like worked like part-time while I was a student. So, like, I know exactly what that experience is like.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, people are like, you know, do you actually like it? Like when I'm interviewing them, they're
Yeah.
like, "Do you have any questions for me?" Like, do you actually like it? And I'm like, do you not see how passionate I am? Like, obviously, I really like what we do, and like, I truly do believe in
Oh,
the work that we do. And I think that research can be a bubble, it can be a vacuum. And I think what's so great about working in interdisciplinary research is that it's so not that. Like,
yeah.
we fundamentally as a lab, we're in the College of Science and we're also in the College of Arts, Media, and Design, So it's like
Wow, that's so
automatically
cool.
we're thinking about these things from two very different perspectives. And then on top of that, we're a part of an institute at Northeastern that is the Institute for Cognitive and Brain Health. We just upgraded from a center to an institute, which is really
Wow,
exciting.
congratulations.
Thank you. I remember back when we had like the world's smallest office. Now we have the whole sixth floor. It's very
Oh,
luxurious, very nice.
yay.
We're moving on up in the world, but even those all those other labs are also very interdisciplinary focused. So they're looking at,
Mm.
dance and health or physical exercise and health or rehabilitation. And so it's not, nothing
Wow.
in research is actually in a vacuum. It just sometimes can feel very contrived.
I think
Um,
once you're like going in the field, like once you're kind of like encountering with the people that you're doing the
yeah,
research for, I think that's when it like gets at you like burst that bubble almost.
exactly,
And I think
exactly.
music is a great way to do that if you feel like you're in
Exactly.
a vacuum.
Exactly. And yeah, I think it just lowers people's like inhibitions. I think it makes people
Mhm.
more comfortable baseline. And I think that it definitely makes the experience of like approaching research and approaching our participants, like it just makes it a very welcoming and like holistic way of looking at things, which I appreciate. I
Mm.
think also working with humans is like very much so tied to that as well. Like if I were
Yeah.
working with other animals, I don't know if I would feel like this innate
Right.
pull towards like
Yeah.
a
Not,
cure or whatever it may be. But
mm,
also, that's just where I found myself. Like I also came in, as I've said before, no experience
no
before.
experience. Yeah.
I'm a people person. Like I worked
Mm.
I was a tour guide on campus. Like I
Yes.
was a waitress in high school.
Aw.
Like I love to talk to people. And so
Aw.
once I realized that that is actually such a crucial part of clinical research, that really was like how I found myself really enjoying it. And I think wherever you are in your like journey of figuring out what you like, there are ways to tie it into science. And so if you're the kind of person where it's like, I actually don't ever want to work with humans, I just want to look at little mice and see when they run around the track, if I give them this, what they do. Like, that's great. You should do that. And I think like I think there is space for everyone in science. I think it just
Yeah.
seems like this big, scary,
Like, oh, like
unapproachable
smart
field.
people only. Yeah, that's
Right.
what my last
Nerds
interview was
only.
about, actually. Yeah.
Really, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's so not that.
Right. No, yeah, yeah. That's so inspiring. Oh my God. I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow, I need to like actually like research now into like, wow, like what colleges have like these interdisciplinary fields that I could
Yeah,
also like explore and stuff.
definitely.
So, what do you think is something people like misunderstand about how the brain processes music? Because I'm sure, like as you've told us, me, like you've gone around and like interacted with so many people, right? And so, like they've asked you, like, why do you even do this? So, what do you think is the most like common misconception about how the brain processes music?
Such a good question. I think that what people, I don't know if it's like a misunderstanding or maybe people just don't know, perhaps, maybe a lack of knowledge rather than an understanding of like just how much of our brain is affected by music. Like
Mm.
you, and that's like the weirdest part about music, and it freaks me out if I think about it too hard. And it's also what makes it such a great intervention tool,
Mm,
is
yeah,
it touches
definitely.
on obvious. There's the obvious. It's like, okay, fine. The auditory regions of the brain. Yes, you're
Right.
listening to things. But then on top of that, it's like, okay, but then when we listen to music, often we'll want to move. We'll want to dance or tap our toes.
Mm,
That's motor regions that are being engaged.
wow.
Okay. And then we think about any of the content of anything we're listening to. Obviously, there's a lot of processing that goes on with all of that. But then thinking about all the like emotional things that get tied to that as well. So there's the cognitive processes of actually processing the audio and the music, but then there's all the emotional kind of things that also get tied in through, where did I find this song? How old am I when I'm finding the song
Mm,
for the very first time? Like music from our adolescence and our early adulthood,
yes.
that it's called like a reminiscence bump effect. It's something that we've studied in
Huh.
the lab before. The older you get, this like critical period of like, I think it's like 16 to 24 or something, like those are your music making years, where now when
Oh,
you go
wow.
back and you listen to those songs, those are going to be the songs that like engage you the most. Like it's
Yay.
weird how that
I'm
works.
listening to
Like,
some good music right now, so that's
yes,
good.
okay, good. Like I'm like, I can't wait till I become older and then I go back like in the era of having streaming, where I'm like, I looked at my Spotify of like top, they just sent out your like, you know, top 100 songs
Oh,
ever.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this,
yeah,
this
yeah.
all of the songs you've ever listened to.
Right.
And it's something crazy like 20. I've listened to like 28,000 songs or something like that. And I'm like, that's too many songs. I'm so curious to know what's going to happen to me when I become older and I hear one of them. Like, am I going to remember all of them? Like,
That's
I don't
insane.
know. I'm so intrigued by that. And that's something that like,
Yeah,
it's definitely something that will come down the line
I
as
know.
people who
Yeah.
experience streaming get older. But
That's crazy. Like when we were performing at one of the assisted living facilities, there's
Mhm.
this woman named Loretta. She
Mhm.
used to play the piano and stuff, and one of our like performers played one of like a gospel song,
Mhm.
and she was like she just I think she just started crying. She was just so
Yeah.
like touched by it. And then we asked her to play the piano. She was like, "No, no, I don't think I got it in me anymore."
Oh
And then we were
no.
like, "No, no, please play for us." And then she started playing, and then like at first it was a little bumpy, like she didn't really like remember the
Right.
lyrics and notes and stuff, but then she kept on playing and then she remembered everything and we were like, wow, that's
So cool.
insane. Like
It's
that's
so cool.
insane.
Yeah. No, it is so beautiful. And it is because of how far-reaching music is in the brain. Like because it
Mm.
engages emotional networks, it engages social networks. We think about going to concerts or
Yes.
when we share music with our friends. Like that's another aspect
Oh
of
yeah.
music
Oh my
is
gosh,
like
yes.
the social element. And that's also something we think a lot about in the lab is like kind of how music has evolved with us and how we've evolved with music and like why music has
Mm.
become something that is a part of our lives and is so important to us. And it's
Wow.
interesting to think about maybe how we've influenced, like how music has influenced our brains and vice versa. Like I
Hmm.
can't help but think like there's got to be some sort of like underlying, like there's got to be
Right,
something there of
yeah.
how we have evolved that like our brains just so happen to, it engages all these networks. I can't say,
Yeah.
but
Actually,
it
Grace,
is, yeah,
do you know Gracie Abrams?
of course, yeah.
Yeah, so she just released her tour dates today
Oh,
and
yes, I actually did see that. I
yeah,
just saw
yeah,
a
yeah. And
very physical opening.
I was freaking out because I didn't get to go to the Secret of Us tour, like the last one.
Oh,
And I was like, I have to go to this one. And so I texted my cousin and she was like, yes, let's go together. And then it just like occurred to me like, wow, like there are millions of people waiting in the waiting room for like a night of music, one night of music. And they're like paying millions of dollars. And it's just like, wow, like the things people would do to like gain this happiness is
literally. And like it is so interesting. Yeah, how much
yeah.
people are willing to pay for one
I
night of
know.
enjoyment. But if you care enough about it, like it is that rewarding. And that's
Oh yeah.
also why music makes so much sense. And I think maybe not, again, not a misunderstanding, but maybe it's a
Mm,
misunderstanding. Like obviously music is rewarding,
right.
but like the way that it engages our brains in that way makes it
Mm,
it can be a healthy or unhealthy outlet because of that. Like you think about when you're really
mm,
sad and you just keep listening to really sad music and it kind of just
yeah,
makes
that
you more
makes sense.
sad,
Oh
like kind
yeah.
of how that influences you.
Mm,
So I think that's also like a big part of that question as well as like how we influence the music and how the music influences us and just how
right.
much that like engages our reward or not. I mean, there are some people that are anhedonic to music as well who genuinely receive no pleasure from music, which like
That's insane.
it hurts, it
Wait,
makes
no,
me
they
sad.
probably do. They just don't
They
react to
don't,
it.
girl, they don't. I'm like, let me tell you, let me send you our case study for real. Because I'm like,
Wow.
and this was something that like I remember learning about in my classes with Dr. Louie and like in the lab, we've talked about, there was like an individual who like wrote to her being like, hey, so I don't feel pleasure from music. Like I feel pleasure from everything else, like eating, sleeping, other normal activities that humans feel pleasure from, but not music. I don't feel pleasure when I listen to music, which is like,
Wow.
what? And I think there's actually something like in his brain that's a little bit different than
Yeah, no,
I
I was
think
gonna
we
say
can
like
tell
maybe it's
on.
like defective. I don't know.
But
I don't
like, but
know.
it really, I think like that individual difference though, like one of the measures that we use in the lab is called the EBMRQ or the Extended Barcelona Music Reward Questionnaire. It's a questionnaire that was developed, I want to say at least over 10 years ago at this point.
Wow.
And basically it has about, I think, 24 questions relating to different aspects of musical engagement and musical reward. So it's like emotional seeking, sensory seeking, like financial stuff. So like, I
Mm.
like to go out and spend my money on music.
Oh, okay.
I like to go to concerts. I like to, the absorption in music. And so we're able to get like individual scores for everyone on how rewarding they find music to be. And there is a spectrum there. There are people who are gonna like the people who, if you ask them, oh, what do you like? And they're like, I don't know, I just listen to whatever's on the radio. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't choose what you listen to. Like for me, I'm like, what are you
That's
talking
crazy.
about? I find music to be one of the most rewarding things in
Oh
life.
yeah.
Other people, they feel, they might feel like neutral about it. They're like, yeah, I
Mm.
like it, but it's not like the driving force of my life. And I'm like, okay, well, could not be me. Yeah, it's like what keeps me going. So
Yeah, but I think overall, I think it has a lot of potential. And
absolutely.
how close do you think are doctors to actually like prescribing music as a medication? Like, oh, like I prescribe you like ibuprofen for this, or like
Right.
one day like you go into the doctor's office and they're like, oh, just
Right.
listen to this song and you'll be okay. Like,
Yeah, oh, wouldn't that be nice? Be like, Doc, what should I listen to today? I think that like that is what music therapy can be. And like that's also what brings me like what brought me to the field originally was I was like, okay, this seems so cool. This
mm,
makes so much sense to me. Being a
yeah.
musician, being a music lover, like, yes. And then on top of that, the more I've learned about it, there are different types of music therapy because, as I mentioned, the music actually touches on so many different parts of our brain and our cognition and our overall functioning that we can actually use it to tap into these various things. So, for
Mm.
some folks, they are in a more active music therapy setting where they are actually creating music, they are writing songs or playing instruments. They're coming up with music on the fly. They are
Wow.
improvising. They're playing songs that they already know.
Mm.
That and there are lots of ways to use that kind of music therapy. So for some folks, especially in like individuals with autism or communication disorders, music and rhythm are actually really helpful ways of having the brain map onto physical sensations and also being able to kind of tap into some of the communicative difficulties that those individuals may be having.
Mm.
So that's like one aspect. And then on the flip side, there's like receptive music therapy, which is more just listening, actively engaging with it, writing
Yeah.
down your thoughts and feelings about it. Yeah, that's kind of like what you might be thinking of like, Doc, what can I listen to
Yeah, I
today?
think that's what I was,
That
yeah.
receptive music therapy, I think ideally should be administered by a music therapist, but I do think that
Mm.
there are tools that we can use I was talking to my friend about this of like as I was saying, like what we listen to influences how we feel and
Right.
vice versa, whether or not we're thinking about it. Like if you're listening to a
Mm.
sad song, like it may not affect you that deeply, but at other times you may listen to it and be like, wow, this is really sad. Like this is making me
Yeah.
sad now. And if
Yeah.
you listen to really happy music, it's like, how could I frown with this song playing? Like, I guess I'm up. And so I think that honestly is something that we can take away as individuals of, older when we go into these living facilities and oftentimes it'll be the question if I'm like, oh, any questions about our research? And they're like, what should I be listening to? And I always say, listen to what makes you feel good. Like, listen to the
Mm.
songs that make you feel good because that is you feeling good. Like,
Right.
you're
There's nothing greater than that.
right. And like our lived experiences as people, like that's kind of what it is. Like what you're feeling is what you are experiencing. And so because we're
Mm.
humans, we're very simple. It's like even if other people
Yeah.
are not in our
Simple
brain,
formula, guys.
literally, it's like if we are perceiving this thing as pleasurable, we are indeed receiving pleasure from it. So I think
Mm.
that's a really important thing for people to keep in mind of like there's no one good thing to listen to. If you have
Mm.
your baby listen to Mozart, it's not gonna like make the baby work smart. I mean, in my, I don't know, we can't prove that.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a lot of ways to engage with music that are healthy and that can be
Mm.
really helpful. And I think especially thinking about, music from your past, depending on what you're using it for as well. Like for me, sometimes
Definitely.
I want to dive back in. I want to think about middle school Corinna. I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking and feeling? And like I'll put on some songs from that era and I'll be able to kind of
Oh,
go back and think like, oh God, like
yes, yes. Oh my
that's who I
God.
was then. I can reflect and like I can use music as a way to tap into these other aspects of my identity and also use it, if I'm feeling kind of grumpy, like let me put on like a killer song that's gonna like be a little angry, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna be feeling a little better. I'm gonna feel like
Like match
represented
your
with the
mood,
music.
kind of, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So I think that hopefully with music therapy developing as a field, there will be more ways for it to be used by wider audiences. I
Mm.
think because it's so new, they're still working on
Yeah.
ways to actually like validate these various therapeutic processes and making sure that it
Mm.
can be used by a wide variety of individuals. And I think that's also a huge aspect of therapy in general is like it's not applicable to everyone. Not
Right.
everyone is going to do well with DBT. Like only some
Mm.
people are going to do well with that. Other people are not. And like that is any therapeutic practice. Like some folks are going
Yeah.
to really benefit from music intervention and some folks may not. I think
Mm.
it's,
Really
having the flex.
subjective almost.
Yeah, and I think it's having the flexibility to try new things and to try unconventional therapeutic avenues. Like I think
Yeah.
music is just one of them. Like there's art therapy, there's dance therapy. I think talk
Mm.
therapy is really helpful, but for a lot of people, they don't want to talk about their feelings. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
need another outlet to do so. And so I think, it would be great if the medical field could
Mm.
appreciate that a little
Yeah,
more.
that actually brings me to my next question. Do
Yeah.
you think the medical world takes music therapy seriously? Like, I mean, it's kind of like it's
Mm.
kind of new, like what you said. It's kind of
Right.
like on the surface. Um, Labs like yours are like
Right.
diving deeper into it, like across the world. But obviously it'll take time and stuff. Like as of t like today, almost like, do they take it like seriously?
When I become a music therapist, I'm not going to become a doctor. Don't quote me on that, all right? But I'm not becoming a doctor anytime soon. Everyone's like, do a PhD. I'm like, guys, no way. I love watching you guys do your PhD. It's way more fun to do that. I think that I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I don't know what it's actually like. Like, if you go to a doctor and go, Doc, I want to see a music therapist. Like, I don't know, especially because
Mm,
it's so new. I think it also
right.
probably is like a very regionally based thing of like how common is it? In Boston, it's a
Oh.
very common thing. I mean, there are
Mm.
music therapists everywhere. There are like music environment programs, basically in like a lot of the local hospitals here where they'll have people coming in and playing music and like various, like
Oh.
not even going into the rooms, but just like hanging out in the like lobbies and playing music.
Yeah.
So I think because of where we are, it's very easy for like a doctor to take it seriously. I think that any sort of, therapeutic field in the medical field struggles to, make itself work to fit into the medical field
Mhm.
while also still kind of achieving the goals of what it was supposed to be. So even thinking about like talk therapy, like, it kind of has to adhere to these like medical guidelines because
Right.
of if you want to be improved by insurance and things like that. So I think there are definitely ways that it makes it harder for people to know that it exists and to know that it's an option for them. But I do think that with the field progressing and with the research behind it progressing and with more and more places starting up music therapy programs and allowing music therapists to come in and being used in different facilities and for different reasons, I think it is becoming a more well-known and well-respected
Yeah.
field. And I think, it hasn't been it's been around for maybe what,
Been around
50
for
years or something, which like is really not that
wow.
long. Like
No, it's really not. Yeah.
there's still so much. And I think especially with like what we know about research now and human research, like I feel like we have a long way to go, and especially the individual aspect of it, it's really hard to get justify
Mm.
like quantifiable significance
Yeah. I
when
think it's also because it's
yeah,
like so subjective
you're right,
and like
exactly,
it can't be
exactly,
like applied to like every single person,
exactly.
which
Like
is
what's gonna work for me might not work for you.
exactly, exactly. And like I think that is like what might prevent it. I think it's definitely still going to be like something that's like an option for people, of
Definitely.
course, because like I'd say like I mean I don't know anything about the research, but like I'd say like out of like 100%, I'm sure 95% of people listen to music, whether they feel any kind of pleasure from it or not. They definitely listen to music. And
Totally.
like you said, like there are some special cases where some people don't react to it.
Right.
And while those special cases can be taken into consideration, the other people can still benefit from it. And I think especially like amidst like this entire global health crisis,
Yeah.
like mental health crisis, I think it's really important ways to address these kinds of issues through
100%.
like things that people like have access to like in their homes. And it's not like money and it's not like oh you have to go all the way here for this. Like no,
Yeah.
like just turn on the TV, put some music on. Or if you don't have a TV, turn on the radio or like make your own music, start
Right.
clapping your hands. Like that's
Right.
like the
Right.
first thing you do when you're a child, right? The clap your
Yeah.
hands song. Like I think but I think that in that aspect, like you're definitely right. Like it'll take some time, but we're gonna get there.
We're
We're gonna
gonna get there. And yeah, I
I am
think
gonna be there too, and I will get there
yes.
too.
And we'll be there
Manifestation.
together, girl. You and me
Yes,
both. I
yes.
cannot wait. No, and I think I like everything you're saying. I completely agree with. I think especially in the world of streaming that we live in now,
Mm,
we have, even if you don't have Spotify or Apple, you have YouTube. We all have YouTube.
Yes. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
you just look
yes.
up YouTube and like you have
Yeah.
every song almost ever, except for like
Literally,
Taylor Swift who
literally.
doesn't want her music on YouTube or whatever. Almost everyone else, they're like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I think that, yeah, like there is such a low barrier to access, and that's why when people, go, oh, what's good for me to listen to? I don't like, they almost say like it's a joke, but I'm like, no, guys, this is serious. Like, y'all need to
Yeah.
understand that, like, it can actually be a very, very positive thing for you to turn to. And it can be
Right.
something that is inexpensive and is already accessible. And it's something that is very easy to add into your daily routine. Like, we even noticed that in our
Mm.
older adults for the intervention study, they come in and I go, okay, so you're going to be listening to music every day for 8 weeks. Is that okay? And they're like, what, listen to music every day? I do that already. And I'm like, okay, sorry, I just want to make sure. Like,
Perfect. Perfect.
that's what I'm here to do is make sure you can actually do the study. But like, it is that easy for people to go, oh, what, I'm taking 30 minutes out of my day to sit and like actively listen to music. I can do that. Like, it's
Right.
relatively, approachable for folks. And
Mm.
yeah, it's inexpensive and it
Yes.
touches on so much. And it's such a great way to connect with the people in your life as well. There's
Definitely.
research
Yeah.
now being looking at not only how music therapy affects the individuals who are experiencing the care, but also how music therapy can be used for caregivers and for people in various
Mm.
facilities. Like, I think there's so much there that, like,
Yeah.
it's hard to parse everything apart and it's hard to know kind of where things should be mobilized. But I think the field is in a really good spot of like figuring out
Mm.
kind of these different avenues and just how far reaching it is. And I think that's why it's been so hard to prove things, is because like it is so intertwined into so
Yeah.
many things.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you think like with all these like parts you're mentioning that we kind of have to like dive deeper into, do you think like AI and like technology can kind of help the way or change the way we study music and the brain?
It's a good question. Personally, it's hard for me, as a musician, as a creative
Hmm.
person, it is really, I dig my heels in quite a bit at any mention of
Yeah.
AI in any sort of creative space. Like,
Mm.
I think it can be used as a tool, but I also think that at the moment with where AI is and where it is going, I
Mm.
think there needs to be a lot more
Yeah,
regulation if we're
I
going
can
to
see that.
start using it in science, in research, in therapy, in creative practices. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
in my opinion, keep it far away from music. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
might
no,
be
no, yeah.
biased. Like, other people, I can argue, other people, like, we can all talk about this. Everyone's got to have their own opinion. Me personally, I don't want it anywhere near my creative practice. That's just me. I do think there can be uses of it. I also
Mm.
think that we really need to figure out, we need to pause our gears and go, wait a second. What did this all get trained on? And why are we doing this? And what's the benefit? And how can we do this sustainably also? Like, I think there's
Mm.
so much, new, it's here, it's here, it's here, and it's never going away. And it's like, whoa, first of all, where did this come from? Second of all, where did all the water go? Like, no, like I never asked Google to give me the AI overview, but now they
Oh,
do.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, for me, I think what it's so difficult to kind of like, I'm in this weird in between of science. It's really moving in that direction of,
yeah.
taking
Mm.
things and computing. Like, a lot of research is computational work. So in
Right.
theory, a lot of it could be a
Could
lot
be
more
really useful.
streamlined and
Yeah.
really useful and very approachable for people. But I definitely think that there needs to be more of a conversation around like how we're using it, how we're teaching people how to use it, and actually learning how to, if it's gonna stay around and it's gonna be something that is a part of our day-to-day life and it's something that's gonna be involved in science and research and in therapy or whatever it may be, like, we have to
Mm.
actually put some safeguards on it. We have to actually decide like, what is it being used for? What are we actually telling it to say? Like, I just think it came very quickly and grew
Yeah.
exponentially without really
Mm.
anyone being really batting an eyelash. So I'm very
Yeah.
hesitant to having it enter the, at least the realm of work that I do. I think, like,
Mm.
personally
Definitely.
as
Yeah.
a musician, I just like really definitely not. And as a scientist, I think that a lot of what I think drives our best work is
That's so
the
cool. You're
human
like both.
element. Like, I hate to
That's
say
so
that, but
cool.
like, I don't think it's the same thing if you have an AI therapist versus you have even
Oh,
an
yeah.
RA in training who's checking in with you once a week. Like I
No,
think
that's like scary.
it
Like,
is scary. Like I think that people don't understand that like it's just there to
yeah.
validate you and like we're there as humans to validate each other, but also we all come into it with our own personal experience. We all learn from each
Mm,
other and we're all able to gain more understanding of society when we
right.
actually turn
Yeah.
to other humans in our life rather than computers. And so I
Definitely.
that's a little bit of a long-winded to sound a little bit
Yeah. No,
like, no AI. Like I'm not,
yeah,
you know.
I agree because like I think as cliche as it sounds, like music is so human, right? And
Yeah.
so like for something like as like computational and like kind of like almost as like formulaic
Yeah.
as what AI can help with, I think that like it could have like some, I think it could help in like some aspects, like oh, like if you're trying to like sort some data that you
Right.
collected
I figure out a piece
or
of
like
code that isn't working or,
right, yeah, yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
But that could probably help. But like think like human connection, like actually talking to like people, like helping people. Like sometimes we feel hesitant to even talk to like people about our
Right.
feelings. Talking to a robot, like, hello, like that's
Don't
it.
do
I'm
that.
done.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
there's so much, it's also like, I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox
No,
right after
no,
this.
no,
I'm
no, no,
just gonna
no.
say that I do think that there's also an element of people, saying, but it's going to streamline things. You can take something and what would have taken you 30 minutes is going to take you 2 minutes.
Mm.
And that's great. That's great. I
Yeah.
mean, sure, I'd love to have, there are definitely things in my life that could be streamlined, I'm sure. But also, like, why is there such an emphasis on it moving that much faster? Like, why can't I
Mm.
just take 30 minutes to do the thing? Like, is that
Yeah.
actually going to benefit my learning
Right.
or my process? Like, I'm going to learn more and I'm going to be able to learn from my mistakes and keep track of any mistakes if I'm doing it hands-on. And I also think, like, we don't necessarily need to, like, push for everything to be like as quick as possible.
Automatic.
Like,
Yeah.
especially in the realm of research, it really benefits to have time to think, like
Um,
developing research questions, coming up with actual experiments. You need to take time and energy to sit and to
mm.
think. And we are not really, oh, but I have my AI doing this for me. So now I have more time to sit and think. I disagree. Like, I don't think that actually. Like, I
Mhm.
think you're kind of offloading some of your mental responsibilities and some of your like thought processes to something
Yeah.
else. And it can be helpful, but it also, I think, is gonna make us have like we already have such a problem with our attention with like
Oh yeah,
it's just gonna make it
definitely.
worse. Like we're gonna
Oh
have
my
no
gosh.
patience for anything. Like I don't know. I'm just fearful
No,
of
like
yeah,
hearing you talk about this just reminding me of like especially now like in schools, teachers are really like
yeah,
strict about AI and
yeah.
rules and policies and stuff. And at first, like as an AI user, at
Right.
first I was like,
What the heck?
why? Like why are we kind of like moving away from like what
Yeah.
is now like gonna be the future and
Right.
stuff? But now like we submitted our first Common App. I don't know if you Common App essay draft.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm like, oh, I remember
Yeah.
coming up. I'm like, whew, dropped that. I'm like, whew.
Yeah.
Flashback. Holy moly.
We submitted our first draft the other day, yesterday actually. And as I was writing it, I was like, I have to really get into like my feelings and like the nitty-gritty things because I was trying to write about something like deep, right?
Yeah,
Something different, unique, and I was like, wait, this takes time, but it's okay. Like I want to sacrifice that time because like that will actually like, result in something beautiful. And I think
yes,
that that's also like how like music therapy works, right? Like
absolutely.
spending time with like the people that you actually
Exactly.
care about can result in something way more beautiful than like oh like giving them some kind of like treatment that could
Right.
okay like be temporarily beneficial, but then in the long run it's not really helping them.
Absolutely. That therapeutic, that's something you learn in psychology and college is like, especially in like clinical psych, if you ever like learn about that, is like the relationship to the therapist is like the most
Mm,
important thing. Like
right.
that is what drives people's like ability to basically do well in therapy is like if you
Yeah.
feel the motivation from this relationship and it's like you feel supported to do so, then like you're gonna be better at doing that. And so like I
Mhm.
totally agree that like really, not just rushing through things just because we can, like actually taking a second to pause and to think, like,
Right.
how does this make me feel? Like, why do I feel like that? And,
Mm.
like, we're not gonna let ourselves have that time anymore. And especially for music,
Yeah.
it's like I don't want anyone telling me what to listen to, or like there's even like these new Spotify things where it's like, oh, generate a playlist based off of a
Oh, yeah,
vibe.
yeah, I've heard of that.
And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Listen, I have prided myself for years on
Oh my
my
God,
ability
yeah.
to curate a vibe in a
Yes, yes,
playlist.
yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Like my
Same,
favorite
same.
thing to do, and you're gonna take that
Yes.
away
Oh my
from
gosh,
me. Like
same.
that's, that it's those small things that's like, oh, but it's gonna save me 10 minutes. But if it's gonna give me joy and happiness to do it,
Yeah.
or even not, you also like we need to have negative experiences as well. Like we need to
I
have
think that negative
uncomfortable
experience would
growth.
make positive experiences
Yes.
positive,
That's how,
right?
yes, that's literally, it's like what makes life
Yeah.
worth living is having the negative to also be there for the good. Like we need to have these experiences where we're challenged and where we're sitting thinking about our feelings, going, how can I express my feelings in words? Okay,
Mm,
well, I'm going to take 20 minutes and I'm going to think about that because now I'll have the skill to know how to formulate my feelings into words. Whereas if
yeah.
I turn to a computer, I say, can you please formulate these feelings into words for me?
That's
I'm
crazy.
not going to know how to do that. Like it
Yeah.
worries me, especially as you're saying, even just writing. Like I think that, for me, writing as a songwriter, like any kind of writing is very personal. Like
Oh yeah.
it's been something I've always really prided myself on and like even
Hmm.
writing a good email. And it's like
Oh
now the
yeah.
guy's like, here's an email. And I'm
Right,
like,
Nima.
I have taken years to perfect my email persona. Excuse me. Like you cannot recreate that after reading 5 of my emails. Also stop
Your
reading my
email
emails.
persona is excellent, by the
Thank
way.
you. Thank you. It's a long time I've been working on it. And that's why it's like,
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
it just sounds so dumb. But
No,
it's time that
no.
I put into this thing and I've gotten
Right.
better at it because of it. And it's
Yeah.
like, it seems so dumb, but now I can write an email in 2 minutes. And it's like, whereas the
Yeah.
first time I wrote it, I'm sure it took me like 10 minutes to figure out what am I going to say and how am I going to say it. But like, we're not going to grow or change or learn if we're not like
Mm,
engaging with ourselves and with each other. And I think
right.
like this big push for computerization and for I think it's kind of like, for me, I feel like the humans are getting kind of lost in the sauce there of like, we are
Mm,
what this is supposed to be benefiting. And if it's not actually
right.
benefiting us as a society, as individuals, as an earth, like why are we doing this? But again,
Right.
that may just be me. I'm like the only like 20 something year old who doesn't use
No,
AI, but like I'm just not interested in it.
I interviewed a professor from Columbia. Oh my gosh, well, I don't know
Nice.
why I'm blanking on her name, but she also studies like interdisciplinary, like
Nice.
between music and medicine, and
That's beautiful.
she had a very similar stance to what
Okay.
you said, and I
Not just
think
me.
yeah, no, I think that's valid because like music, human, like
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
right,
I'm a little biased. I don't work in biology, chemistry, engineering, like math, there are lots of fields and I'm sure AI is very helpful, but
right,
just again, yeah, from my perspective of like as a
mm,
creative person and as someone who studies interdisciplinary creative science, it's very hard
yeah,
for me when AI gets entered into the conversation of like already you have misunderstood what I think the
what I was
benefit
trying to
of what we're
say.
doing. Exactly. I
Yeah,
think
that
the
makes
human
sense.
element is what makes it work. And so I'm like,
Yeah, no, definitely,
let's not
yeah.
lose that, guys. Let's not forget about that.
Okay. So, switching gears a little bit.
Yeah.
So, if you could change one thing about the way music is kind of like taught in schools, and like taught about like when teachers like teach students like how music personally like affects the brain,
Right.
what would it be?
Ooh. I mean, honestly, I feel like I don't know what kids these days.
Yeah,
I don't know what kids are learning these days.
like okay, like how if you were a teacher, how would you teach students about the brain and how music affects the brain?
Yeah, I think honestly for me, I'm like, I did not really learn about a lot about the brain until much later. I think like
Mm.
it seems like this really like scary thing that like we kind of know a little bit about. We honestly don't even know that much about it. It's very cool. I love it that like it's our own brain, so we can really only know so much. Like that's so cool. I think that as I kind of led off with of like I had no experience, I came in really blind. Like I think for me, like just knowing that like research and science are options, like especially as like growing up as like a young woman, like I never really felt like I had a say in the science class. Like I just, like it just wasn't something that was ever really encouraged. Like not like by my like obviously when I told my parents I was going into research, they're like, "You're so smart." And I'm like, "Thank you." But I think that like if I could go back and like I could be the teacher, like I would, teach people a little bit more about the brain in a way that is directly relevant. So I think like framing
Mm.
things with these other elements. So if it's music, if it's dance, like I think there are ways to talk about the brain and about research that aren't, you know, that are
Just like heavy
engaging.
medical jargon, just like an
Right, right.
overload of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
like I think especially for younger audiences, there are ways to talk about music therapy, there are ways to talk about the brain, there are ways to talk about the way the brain networks that are engaging that we can relate to. And that's really what gets people to care about things, but especially to
Mm.
understand them is, if I'm listening to you talk about the brain and you're talking about all these biological processes and I'm not interested in biology, it's going to be much easier for me to kind of just like mentally check out. But if
Yeah.
I'm, let's say, a sports player, I play soccer, which I did play in high school, and
Oh.
I'm sitting there and you're talking about how our motor networks work and how when I get the ball, I'm able to then kick it and know who to send it to and how all the brain processes that do that, like that's going to engage me a lot more than just learning
Mm.
about it from a more kind of cut and dry process. And so I think
Makes sense.
there can be creative ways to talk about the brain. It sounds so nerdy. Oh my
No,
God. But like there
no,
are.
that makes sense because I don't think teachers understand that. At least like I go to like a huge public high school
Right.
in Florida,
Right.
and I think the rush is real. Like they just want kids to like get the content, like
Yep.
do this, do that, very like oh step by step kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I don't know, like only some teachers really take the time to like
Yeah.
actually talk about what they do
Right.
and why does this even matter? Like why are
Literally.
we
Yeah.
learning about this?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, but like maybe that's something that we'll experience in college.
Hopefully. I mean, I think so. I definitely for me, I feel that. Like I
Yeah.
struggled a lot in high school with subjects that I didn't care about because I was like, why do I
Mm,
care about this? Like you need to
exactly.
make me
Yes.
care or else like why am I sitting here and engaging? Like
Mm.
which don't don't do as I do as I tell you, as my dad always says. Like don't do that. But I think that there is like it's definitely a problem within kind of the way that our education system is set up also in the way that like
Definitely.
we undervalue education and like it is
Right.
so different state by state and school by school. Like I
Mm,
think teachers are overworked, obviously, and
right.
underpaid, obviously. And I
Yeah.
think because of
Yeah.
that, there is no room for these people who have to, have classes all day and then go home and grade and do all this stuff. They don't even have the energy anymore to think, where am I coming into this field? Like, why did I st like, why
Mm,
do I want to teach this subject? Why do I want to teach history? What's
yeah.
my interest in it? I think it's so easy to kind of lose that when you're caught up in all that other bureaucratic kind of crap that you have to deal with and dealing with
Right.
all the smaller aspects of running a classroom that I think we don't get that kind of individualized. Obviously, individualized education is just kind of impossible in a system that
Right.
big.
No, definitely. Yeah.
But even just narrowing down, hey, you are this kind of learner. You should learn like this. Like we just like,
Mm,
I think there are ways to approach it, but I think with the way that the current kind of education system is set up, it's going to be really hard for us to like on a public scale be able to restructure the way that we think about these subjects unless we literally
yeah.
on a federal scale think about how we restructure these subjects, but we don't do that. We do it state
Yeah.
by state. And
We're
that's
not.
also the thing. Is like each state is going to be so different that like it's hard to say. Like you never know what someone in a different state is learning from you, which is like
Yeah, it's
just
kind of sad to see like it's not
yeah.
even a priority. Like kids
No.
go to school like every day and
Yeah.
it's something that's just like undervalued.
Yeah. And
And
especially
like
here, it's like we are all so lucky to have public education. Like it's a huge deal.
yes.
All of us, everyone in the United States has access to free public education, and nobody cares about it. Like
No one
that's
cares about it.
crazy.
Yeah.
I think like, you know, it goes all the way up, obviously, and that's like a whole can
Yeah.
of worms we're not even going to get into today. We don't have
Right.
enough
No,
time for
yeah.
that. But I do think that education in general is undervalued. And I think, especially subjects that are misunderstood or aren't as approachable, like science or
Mhm.
math, like the STEM subjects that obviously like in the past 20 years, there's been a huge push of like getting STEM into schools.
Oh
But I
yeah.
think that there's also a bit of a gap there of figuring out then how to make it relatable to students. Like I remember in middle
Mm,
school and they're like STEAM, and I was like, literally, I don't care about science, technology, engineering, or math.
no.
I was like, you got me with the art. I'm like, I don't really. Eventually, learned to like all those things. I actually really like math. I really like science. I'm tech and engineering. You're still kind of losing me on that. But I was able to find my own ways into that kind of realm. But again, it did take till
Hmm.
college for me to realize, oh, I can get into science through human research, through psychological
Yeah.
science. Like that's what interests me about the brain, and I can learn about it in this way that actually engages me. Whereas
Right.
what I was doing before, I don't,
Yeah. I
less
think that
relevant.
gap,
Yeah.
I think that gap is also because of, I think there's like a stereotype that no one
Yeah.
wants to admit there is. Like a
Yeah.
kid who's like really good at math versus a
Right.
kid who's really good at like literature, for example. They're gonna think this kid's better at like
Absolutely.
smarter, more intelligent,
Absolutely.
more knowledgeable.
Yep.
And like personally, like over the past couple of years, like I went to a STEM middle school,
Yeah.
and I'm also in like a STEM high school as
Right.
well. And there's not that many art schools. Like I was in chorus, like I went to All State, I went to All County, I was that kid.
Yeah.
And I was good at math. Like I was never like bad at a subject, but it wasn't my thing. Like I never like loved math. Like I wasn't like on the
Yeah.
Mu Alpha Theta. I don't know if you know that, but like a math team or like an Olympiad team. Like
Right.
I was never that person.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like I don't know, like people should really like understand that like there are kids, there's so many kids that love arts and
I
stuff and
know.
like it's kind of sad, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I
Yeah.
think that's why I'm so lucky to be not only like in a lab that encourages and directly studies like arts and science,
And
but also
science.
like
So
it's
cool.
so cool. And also,
It's
like,
so
again, as a
cool.
musician, like, it's really nice to have people in my life who I work with that understand what I do and why it's so important
Yeah.
that I do what I do. And they actually see the value in what I'm doing as a
Yeah.
musician. It's not just like, oh, that's your hobby. It's like, no, this is like your other thing that you
Yeah.
do. Like,
That's so cool. You're like a
it,
musician and oh my God, you're so inspiring. Oh my
oh,
God.
please, you can do it all. In
Oh my
fact,
God,
you can.
yeah.
In fact, I do. And so I think both of those, like having a creative background influences the way that you approach science. Like, I think like, it's so helpful. I think especially
Yeah.
music science, like I am able to understand and relate to a lot of the things that we learn about. And I'm also able
Mhm.
to then think about it from a clinical perspective in my interest of like applying what it is that I know and what I've experienced.
Right.
So definitely, I hope it is encouraging. You do not have to choose one or the other.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah.
that's
That's
also
the
the thing.
biggest thing.
It is, and I think as you're saying in school, especially like, you think about the clubs that you're allowed to join, and it's like it's either you do sports or you do theater, and you can't do both. Or
No, literally,
you do
literally. Oh
math
my
or
God,
you do
yes.
theater and you can't do both. And it's like,
Literally,
well,
yes.
what the heck, guys? What if I wanted to do
Yeah.
it all? Like that, I felt very lucky. I went to like kind of a progressive high school, and so I was
Mhm.
able to do both. I did soccer and I also was like in my musical theater group.
Wow. Yeah. I've
Um,
been doing
yeah.
tennis all of high
Oh,
school.
love
So
that.
yeah, yeah. I think I'd prefer to do like something more musically inclined.
Right.
But yeah, we do like have our school play and stuff, but like it's hard to find like a person like I personally don't know anyone who's done like both a varsity sport as well as like being in the school
Yeah.
play. It's
It's
so difficult.
that's the thing. In like a regular traditional public school, it's almost
Mhm.
impossible to do
It's
that.
impossible.
It's
Yeah.
almost like they discourage you from doing that. And like that, I
Mm.
think is also kind of this gap that we're talking about, not only in the education system, like in our classes, but like then we think about how we set up our extracurriculars for kids. And it's kind of like we're telling them either you
Right.
choose one or the other. You can't do both. Like you can't be creative and also scientific, or you can't be athletic and also creative. Like, but
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. Like
That doesn't make
we all
sense.
contain multitudes. And that is
Mm.
why I feel so lucky that not only I work in an interdisciplinary lab, I studied specifically at Northeastern, like the music and psychology major is combined. So like my
Oh,
education was interdisciplinary, like everything
wow.
that I believe in, because like we are like everything in humans. It's like everything is intersectional, like everything
Yeah.
it all overlaps, and like there are so many aspects of ourselves that can be fulfilled by different things. And I think it's really not fair that we don't give kids and developing people the opportunity to explore all those different avenues.
Definitely. Yeah. This has been super eye-opening. I could just
It's
sit
been
here
so
and talk with
long
you
since I've
all
been in
day,
high
not
school,
gonna
and I'm like,
lie.
oh man, you're really getting me thinking. I'm like, oh
Oh
man.
my gosh. Yeah. I could just sit here and talk with you all day. But
Having a great
anyways,
time.
okay, we're down to our last couple of minutes. So
Okay.
I have like this rapid fire, like 10 question kind of round.
I'll try
So
to
you
keep it
get to
short.
yeah, you get to answer in one sentence or even one word answers only.
Heard.
So let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. So what is one word to describe the Mind Labs vibe?
Oh my God. Oh, I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for this question. Encouraging.
Mm, that's beautiful.
I stand by that. Oh, I wish I could elaborate. I love this. This is such a good example for me.
I guess you can elaborate a little bit.
I'll just say that it's encouraging in not only trying new things, asking different kinds of questions, but also
Mm,
as a basis, the people that work there, we all work together on like all
mm,
of the projects. Everyone helps out where they can. I think that's very beautiful.
that's so cool. What is the most chaotic thing that's ever happened during an experiment?
Oh, I mean, there's been so much. Oh man. Oh, I'm trying to think of like chaotic or like
Or like stressful times
I know
when
I'm
like
like
things didn't go your way or
there are so many examples of that it's kind of hard for me to boil it down. I would say there was once a miscommunication that I had with a participant where he was expecting payment the day of the session, and that was not what I had communicated to him. And this was one of my first sessions as the lab manager, and I had had an experience earlier in the day where I thought I had lost my house keys. And so I was on high
oh.
alert. And so
Oh
I go
no.
in and he's there and I go, okay, whatever. And he's like, so I'm getting paid today. And I'm like, no, you're not. And he's like, okay, then I'm not staying. I'm leaving and
Oh
I'm not
no.
finishing the study today. And I started crying while he was there. Yep.
No.
And he was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm just having a bad morning. And then he was like, I'm just gonna go. I was like, you should just go. So, yeah, that was pretty embarrassing for me.
Oh no.
That
Well,
was
I
me.
guess
Yeah.
those things happen, I guess.
He got paid. It all worked out. He
Okay,
came back.
yes.
He did the session. Like, I found my house keys, but like in the moment, I was
Oh
just like,
yeah.
this is my first time doing this and I suck. And like,
Let me go listen to a song real quick.
literally, I was like, guys, let me put in my headphones and like be silent for a few minutes. But
Oh my
so
God.
yes, a little chaotic, but just a
Yeah.
miscommunication. We're all humans, so it happens.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. Okay, fourth question. What's a skill you never thought you'd need as a lab manager?
Mm. Um, people skills, people
Mm.
skills, baby. I always joke. I'm like, oh, I'm the personality hire, which is not true. I have a lot of skills. I'm very, talented and smart.
Right.
But
No, yeah, of
if you
course.
work with humans, you gotta know how to work with humans. So
Mm.
I
I
learned that
think
one the
that's
hard
something
way.
you didn't realize when you were in high school. You already had all you had something most people didn't even have that were going into the same field as you. So
They didn't
kudos to
even
you.
know that you knew. I didn't even know that you had to know how to talk to people. I was like, I don't know numbers. And they're like, you don't need to know numbers. I was like, okay.
Sixth question. What is your favorite genre to listen to while you're working?
Ooh, while I'm working,
Do you listen to music when
I
you're
do.
working?
I have like
Okay.
usually I have it depends on what kind of work I'm doing. If I'm like really
Mm,
like have to mentally focus on
like
something,
lock in,
I
yeah.
yeah, if I gotta lock in, I have like a study playlist that I have from college. It's a lot of
Yes.
I would say like mainly instrumental, but like a lot of like
Same.
soft
Yeah.
rock, kind of like also like progressive rock as well. Like I don't know if you know, there's a band called Kangrabin. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Definitely doing them an injustice. If you don't know them, check them out. They are so cool.
Yes,
But they
I
have these like
will.
really like vibey, like they touch on a lot of different kinds of like music elements that I think it's
Mm.
engaging, that it has like a lot of sounds going on, but it's not too much like
Where you
stimuli for
can't
my brain to
concentrate.
process. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Oh my
I
gosh.
like a soft rock usually, but like if it's too soft, then I'm like I need more. I need like
Right.
a
Yeah.
little something extra to help me
Yeah.
stay focused.
I think if I start listening to like lyrical music, I just start singing. Like it's
Yeah,
so bad. Like I
too
I
much.
just cannot. Like I physically cannot.
Especially if it's
It's so
like music
bad.
I love. I'm like, oh,
Oh my gosh,
yes.
yes.
Like I
Yeah.
gotta sing along. I just gotta sing along.
Okay, seventh question. If the Mind Lab had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my God, these are the best questions.
Yes.
If we had a theme song, oh my God. Okay, I will say, oh, this is actually cute. I'll say, um, oh, actually, okay, I have two choices, and these are both songs that we play in our outreach performances. The first one I thought of was My Girl by the Temptations. Because it's just like a very, oh, if you don't know that song, girl, you gotta check out that song. It's like
I will.
classic
I will.
Motown
Yeah.
song. It's very sweet, and it's basically like saying that like I have no troubles because like I have this wonderful like girl in my life. And like
Mm,
I think that's kind of like how we all approach what we do. And I will
yeah.
also say the other song that I thought of was In My Life by the Beatles, which if you don't know
Oh
that
my
song,
gosh. Yes. Yes. I know that song. Yeah. I
right,
know the
right.
song.
And I love that song. I played it for like every
Yes.
any graduation events, people
Oh
eat
yeah.
that up. It's always my go-to, but for the older adults, it's also really fun to play. And
Yes.
I think that's a very representative song of like looking kind of at like your lab, like as like it
Mm,
has traversed, like especially the Mind Lab, it started when Psyche was still at Wesleyan, like it has taken on many iterations. And so like thinking about the ways that like our group and our like field have changed and like looking back and being able to reflect on that and see where we are now, like I think
mm.
that's also a song that just makes me think of that.
Okay. Eighth question. What is one thing about Professor Psyche that genuinely inspires you?
Oh, literally everything. I love Dr.
Aw.
Louie. We go way back. I think what is so inspiring about Psyche is her ability to hold her ground. You know, she is a woman in STEM, and that is and like she's been in the field for a long time. She
Yeah.
is a huge kind of reason that music psychology is even studied as a subject. And
Wow.
like she has done so much for people like myself and other people in the field that I am just endlessly inspired by her ability to be in spaces and to
Yeah.
come up with these ideas and to know just how far she's come. And I think another thing that's been very inspiring is just like how much she's like taken a chance on me. Like, as I said, I
Mm.
came in very fresh and very new
Aw.
to research. I was just really passionate about what it is that we do. And I think it's been very encouraging to know that that passion is actually sometimes with the right set of tools is kind of all you need to get yourself in the
Yeah.
right place. Like if you have the right people around you and you have the right resources, like if you're passionate about what it is you're doing, like you should do it. So I
Yeah.
think that's been very encouraging, just to be around is like her ability to remind me that like I have a place in research and that people who come into research totally new also
Yeah.
have a place there.
Oh, yeah. It's really important to have that kind of person.
It is. I love her. She's the best boss. I'm like so fun. I'm
Oh,
like, oh, she's like barely my boss. I love her.
she's
Like
my boss.
dude, that's my boss. Literally, I'm like, not to flex on you guys, but I'm like coolest boss ever. But no, she really is such an amazing person. I cannot
Oh,
sing her praises enough. And she's a fantastic scientist. It's like, girl, save
wow.
some for the rest of us.
That's
Like,
just
come
it all.
on. But
Yeah.
she's the best.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Ninth question. If you could add one totally wild experiment to the lab's lineup, what would it be?
A totally wild experience. I would
I don't
make
know. I don't know what I was thinking when I was coming up with these questions. Like, but
I
just try your best,
love
I
this.
guess.
No, I thought I have a selfish answer to that. Totally wild, I would make people listen to my music and tell me how they feel.
Oh my
I would say,
gosh.
all right, what do you think about that? How much you like
Wait, that's
that?
actually kind of cool. Maybe
What
like if they like it, maybe like that could be like the universal like song recommendations. Like it
You
could be
never
like
know.
on
Could be
Spotify.
Corinna Parrish on Spotify, you
Yes.
guys.
Oh,
Like,
wait, yes, wait, you should do that.
stream it, y'all. Yeah, maybe that'll be my first exploration of my music therapy is
Yeah. Oh my God.
so what about my songs though? Are my songs any good or like
Oh my gosh, you're too funny. All right. Last question. If you could wake up tomorrow with the answer to one unsolved mystery in
Whoa,
neuroscience, what would it be?
whoa. Oh my God, I'm waking up with new information. That is crazy. Girl, these are good questions. I'm like,
Oh, thank you.
I want to use these at our next like lab
Oh,
outing of the semester for real. I want to ask everyone these questions. And
yes.
we got some really interesting answers. Um, if I could wake up with the knowledge of one thing about our brain, I think it'd be cool to know more about like how we learn things. That is a
Mm,
process that is very complicated
yeah.
and has a lot of different thoughts behind it. And so I think it'd be really cool to just like wake up and know like, okay, how can I best learn this skill or this
Yeah.
language or whatever it is? Like, how do we learn? And like, how can we make sure that people do that? But I think
Mhm.
what my automatic also response would be is like, everyone is different though. It's like everyone's brains
Yeah,
are so different that
yeah.
like, that's what's cool about science is like, I wish I could
Right.
wake up and go, here's the universal truth. But I
Mm,
think that like, there are some things that we've called universal truths that like what makes that a universal truth, you know? So I think
yeah.
like it would be cool to know a little bit more about how our brains function, like how we process and learn information. But I can't
Yeah.
help but like think like
That'd be really
even if
cool.
I woke up with that answer, I might have multiple answers of like what people do instead of like this think this way or people like this learn this way. Like I don't know, it's
Oh my
definitely
gosh, yeah.
interesting to think about.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Miss
Yes,
Parrish. It's been
my
so great
pleasure.
talking with you. I
Thank you
actually
so much.
really enjoyed our conversation so much.
Thank you. Me
I hope
too.
we can talk again in the future.